Welcome back. So now we're gonna take a look at the third person character and turn that into a first person character. So right now we have this, hit play again. We have this, the camera is behind the character. We're gonna change all of that. Okay. I'm gonna hit escape, and if you wanna go for the third person, we're gonna open this blueprint up. Either you can select this guy and you can click edit third person character blueprint, or you can go over to this folder here and click on the blueprints, and then you can go over to the third person character blueprint, right? Once it opens up, it'll open up to the event graph with lots of code in it. We're not going to worry about that right now. Instead, we're going to worry about what the character is looking like, or how the camera is going to be set up. So right now, this thing has two components or three components. You have the arrow component, which determines where the forward of the character is. Then you have the guy himself, the mesh, the character. And then you have this camera boom, which has a spring arm. And then you have a camera which is attached to the end of the spring arm. Okay. So what we're going to do is the first thing is, the first thing that comes off to your mind is this is behind the character. A first person camera should be somewhere at the head of the character. Okay. So you'll be compelled to actually pull this in closer and maybe position it like this, like that, and maybe do that. Okay. And that's actually good for a start. I mean, that's proper thinking. That's where the camera is supposed to be. Maybe pull it up even a bit more and push it a little, and then you hit compile, and then you start playing it, and you can see that, and it's working fine, right? But I can actually do all of this, but there are a bunch of things that I'll have to change. See, right now, if I hit change, if I hit this, I'm getting these body parts of the character in front of the camera, okay, which is not right. When I'm jumping, that's fine. I can see the hands flailing, so that's cool. That's all cool. But I don't want this to happen. The other body parts are also clipping in front of me. So there is a fix for that, which we're gonna do that. And going back here, so instead of actually directly putting it in front of that, so what we're gonna do is instead we're gonna parent this, or we're gonna make this a child of the character himself. So I'm gonna drag this. I'm gonna drop it over mesh like that, and then once that's done, I can have all the character motion going along with the camera. So now when I hit play, okay, I'll hit play again. Now I'm not able to move around. That's because if I'm using my mouse to move around, I'm not able to do that because the character is gone. So for that to happen properly, see, I'm actually trying to use my mouse, but I'm not. I'm moving a mouse X and Y, but nothing is happening. I'm just able to move my character using my arrow key, and which is quite snappy and irritating at the same time, right? So again, hit escape, and there is another fix for that. So when you click on the mesh, and no, click on the follow camera, and then you can go over first. You have to socket it to the right place, because right now we just made it a child of the entire mesh, but we don't want that. In fact, we want to exactly socket it over to a body part of the character. So now it's right now the parent socket says none. So when you click on this magnifying glass, it's going to show the bunch of sockets that you can connect it to, attach it to, but we just need the head part. So when you type head, the socket comes up, and just type it there, and right away this camera is gonna move here, and that's because of all the rotations and everything. So okay, so first I will make this to 90, okay? And also this camera is slightly rotated along the x-axis, so I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna bring it back like that. Okay, so this will be minus 90 and 0 and 90. There you go. Okay, now this is actually connected to the socket head, but it's moved away because of these coordinates. So if I again click on this little part, it'll possibly move there, right? And so now it's 0 0 0, and it's parented there. And if you want, you can move around a little bit. So now and one more thing is, it's still not going to fix it. So if I hit play, I can move around, and it's actually kind of jerky, but all the clipping part is done, and my mouse is still not working. I'm still not able to move my mouse. The camera is not moving. That's because when you click on the follow camera, and if you go down here, not here, but if you look at the mesh part, and you can say, think I should just look for that. Click here, and if I just say rotation, use pawn control rotation. Okay, so once I do that, and this is inside camera settings. Okay, it was right here. I did not see it. And then also click on third person character self, and then I just need to use the use controller rotation yaw. So as the tooltip says, if true, this pawn's yaw will be updated to match the controller's control rotation yaw, if that's controlled by a player controller. So all of that fits right in for us. So I'm going to check that, and then when I hit play, and now I'm able to see my I'm able to move the character. I'm able to move my mouse and look around using the character. And if I look down, I can see parts of the torso and all, which is not right. So I'll move this camera a little bit ahead. I won't be making it to 0, 0, 0. So I think I'll just move it a little bit ahead like that. So now when I hit play, now I can see that. Now I can see the legs of the character, and also when I jump, I can see the hands, and everything is working perfectly fine. Now, of course, I can't jump here. I believe, yeah. So I can jump here, and it's all looking great. There you go. I can see the legs, and like that. So everything is working fine. So that's because we actually change the use pawn control rotation. Now, if this camera component is placed on a pawn, should it use the view control rotation of the pawn where possible? In fact, it should, because wherever it's already attached to the mesh, it's not only a child of the mesh, it's also attached to a particular socket. So it should take all the rotations of the pawn itself and should not be independently rotatable. And anyways, your rotation had gone for a toss because we hadn't checked that. So we had to have that if this has to work, because in the event graph, it refers to the camera, which actually is a part of the camera boom, and it does all of those calculations. But in our case, it's not there. It doesn't find the follow camera. So we have to make all of these changes. At the same time, we also made a change here where we said use controller rotation yaw. Okay, so this was a very simple setup, and we still have a very long way to go. So I'm going to close the video here, and when we return, we're going to do a bunch of modifications to this character and move on from there. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.